Welcome to one more awesome episode of the Achievers Club podcast show. And today we had Nidhi Kona, who is a wellness coach, where we discussed more about how we can achieve well-being and how we can connect our mind, body, and soul in order to achieve the best possible outcome for ourselves. Because she has realized during her overall career that there are a lot of people, those who are doing a lot of physical work, but they are not able to achieve the outcome which they are actually willing to manifest, or they're actually willing, or they're aspiring to achieve that particular outcome. So, in this particular podcast, we have dived deep into what is the actual definition of wellness and how can someone connect their mind, body, and soul in order to achieve the best possible outcome for themselves in a smaller span of time, in a step by step manner. And this particular podcast is more in a funny conversation way where I have discussed a lot of in-depth questions as well. So make sure you take full notes and make sure you enjoy this particular podcast show, and don't miss out on any of the points, because any of the pointers, if you miss out, you can literally miss out on something really very big. So make sure you take full notes and make sure you watch this particular podcast from start till the end, so that you can get the maximum value and you can understand the definition, you can understand the meaning and the connection of one thing with the another, so that you can create the best possible outcome for yourself into your life. So let's begin with this particular podcast show. Hi, Nidhi. Thank you so much for being on our podcast show. First of all, how are you feeling right now?
Excited. Thank you so much for having me here. Super happy.
Thank you so much for being on our podcast show, and thank you so much for accepting this opportunity for being on this show. And first of all, I would like to ask this particular question to every single guest, those who comes up into our podcast show, is that who is Nidhi Kona, so that all the audience, those who are watching this podcast, they can get the value and they should understand like who is the guest and what are they gonna get from this particular podcast.
Thank you, Sahil. Thank you. So, who is Nidhi Kona? Nidhi Kona is a shy, bubbly introvert. That there itself are quite a few contradictory words, so you should get a good idea of what that is. But I have been a molecular biologist, a scientific writer, and now I'm a wellness coach. And that is such a huge jump, right? But I think it's been a wonderful journey because I know the science behind wellness now, which is it's not just telling people to live a better life. I have been through it myself. I've been through the edge of, having troublesome days and to living my best life. And that's exactly what I'm committed towards, helping every individual overcome that pain, overcome that shackle of fear, and tap into their best lives. So
That's
that's
cool.
Nidhi for you.
Yeah, that's cool. And as you mentioned about, there were some of the pointers which you faced during your previous career. So what made you do this? Like why you became the wellness coach itself? Like what a lot of people do is they practice into their own life, but why you became the coach? Because there's something in our back end. That's why we become the coach, right? So what is that one thing which came into your mind in order to become a wellness coach?
Right, that's a good question because I'm not the only person practicing wellness, right? There's a lot of
Yes.
people practicing wellness, but I decided to become a coach because I realized that life is all about playing to your strengths. And one of my strengths is that I am a compassionate teacher. I love learning and I love sharing it as soon as I learn. And if I don't become a coach, then that means I'm being greedy and keeping all that information to me. And I just didn't want to do that because that's what excites me, right? When I don't
Mhm.
just change my life, but I change the lives of people around me. And I've done that in a very minuscule scale for too long now. And I decided that it's definitely time to scale up because, the challenges are just mounting. Every day there's a new crisis. Every day there's a new personal conflict that's arising in people. And even though we're all like, from different places, different names, different backgrounds, we all have similar challenges that we face. And
Yeah.
I decided that someone needs to step up and speak up, so that's why I'm here.
That's cool. And even your spirit is also like in the form of infectious in a positive way.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing. And best of luck for all your initiatives.
Thank
And
you.
for the new audience, what actually wellness is all about? Because even when I came to know about this word, what is wellness, even I was having a lot of, you can consider, two-minded things. So, as a wellness coach, what's the definition of wellness according to you? And what are the practices which people can follow in order to make their life better with the help of wellness?
Mhm. So, wellness is such a umbrella term because there's health. People are more familiar with fitness and beauty and all of that. But why I chose to call it wellness is because it is all encompassing. A lot of times we are focusing on one thing in that's right in front of us, whether it's, oh, I want to get fit, or oh, I want to manage my finances or something. But wellness is not something like that. It's you working on your inner self such that all the different pillars in your life come exactly where you want them to be. You're not chasing after one thing after the other. It's all happening at the same time. Your relationships are improving, your relationship with yourself, your fitness, your mindset, everything comes under this umbrella of wellness. And I realized that that's what I did. The personal transformation journey that I went on, I didn't do one thing at a time. I did it all together. And people might feel overwhelmed by that. Oh my God, how do I get all of this happening together? It's not. It's truly not. It's just that we tend to focus a lot on things that don't matter to us. We give way too much importance to things that don't really matter and way little importance to ourselves, the inner self, that inner strength, that resilience that matters the most. So I think that is the definition of wellness, being well from within, so that the surroundings is a clear reflection of that power inside.
So it's like the holistic success in every aspect of life, rather
Exactly.
than just health or rather than just finance or anything. It's like all the pillars of life are having the best potential in us, and the best possible outcome is what we are getting from that. So that's also a great answer to what I was expecting for. And even this is to the point answer, honestly speaking, because whatever answer I got from Google or even from ChatGPT, that's not the same one. And that is why I asked, because we are humans and we want like something to be real rather than just artificial or anything. We want something to be real. So that was a very good answer. And like, what are the common misconceptions which a lot of people have? Because as you mentioned about wellness, like people think that it's just about health or it's just about finances. Because even honestly speaking, before this, before me meeting you, I have heard about this concept in a way, health and wellness. I've not heard about wellness as a separate thing. I've heard about health and wellness. I've never heard about wellness. So, what are the common misconceptions which a lot of people have, not just in India but across the globe?
That's a good question. Before I actually used to first I called myself mindset and wellness coach, and then somehow I realized, what is mindset and wellness coach? I mean, you have to have the right mindset in order to be
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
So that's exactly why I was like, wellness is enough. When we try and separate wellness into pieces, that means that you're fragmenting your life as well, right? You think that, I think a common misconception about wellness is just feeling good. If you're feeling good, you're well. All how if someone asks you how you're doing, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
I'm well, I'm fine. Well is like, like a baseline, but well is not a baseline. Well is that complete peace and satisfaction within yourself. It's that feeling of like being full. It's not just I'm okay. I think a lot of people think wellness is like just being fine, not amazing, or
Mhm.
not not ill or anything, but good enough. It's
Mhm.
not good enough.
It's
it's
like
it's
contented.
fulfilled. Yes, it's fulfilled. Like, you're
Mhm.
not looking for anything beyond that wellness. If you're truly focusing on your well-being, there's a reason it's called well-being, right? We are all human beings. We have to just be that person, be well. And what it truly means to be well is that you're not you're not chasing after things. You are strong enough that things are coming to you, opportunities are coming to you, health is finding you, people are finding you. That is wellness from within. So yeah,
Like
that,
a manifestation thing. Like we are
yeah.
attracting all the things based on the vibrancy level.
Yes, yes, based on who you are on the inside, how well you are on the inside shows up is the reflection of your reality. So that's as simple as that.
That's great. Like in simple words, it's like living an abundant life in every
Hmm.
aspect of life.
Yes,
That's cool.
fulfilled contented life. Yes.
That's great. And can you give like as you mentioned about wellness and people need to feel that, as you mentioned about well-being, like we need to feel from inside. So what are the different steps or different practices which we need to follow in order to feel that contentness or like that abundant life? Because even while going through a lot of programs from my mentors, I realized actual wealth and actual wellness, like actually wellness is from you only, but the actual wealth in our life is not just about money which we have. but it's also from the breath we are taking, the body which we are having, the relationships which we have. So what are the different practices which an individual right from level zero should follow, so that they can feel that yes, even if I'm lagging in some areas of my life, but there are certain aspects of life which are actually performing good. So how we can take all those things on track? What are the some of the practices which you follow, and some of the members of your community also follow the same?
Yeah, that's a good question because a lot of people have heard these words, and there's a lot of advice out there. As you said, Google and ChatGPT will give
Yeah,
you all kinds of advice,
yeah.
which will go make you go in two different directions. But the simplest place to start from is becoming an observer. I've realized because we are always I mentioned well-being, right? But we're not being much, we're doing, we're all focused on doing constantly. Let's have a to-do list, let's do this, let's do that, all of that, but nobody is actually making to-be lists. Who do you want to be,
Hmm.
what do you want to see yourself as? Because when we don't have that clear intention of who we want to be, we're constantly going to seek external validation for the things that we're doing. So if you go and do something and you're like, you look around and be like, is everyone liking what I did? Okay, cool, that means I did my job well. But if you have that clear identity of this is who I want to be, then your focus is on yourself. You're like, okay, this is what I need to do, and you, again, it comes with that feeling, that inner feeling from inside, because you don't need anyone to tell you who you are. You already know that you're becoming that changed person. So automatically you have that power in your own hands. So I think first is be an observer. Okay, reflect on what you are doing on a day-to-day basis. Second thing is ask yourself, questions are answers. I think this was one of the most powerful insights I ever got. I've always been that person who's eager to give an answer, and then I realized, no, no, actually, if you pay attention to someone's question, you learn so much about them. And these are the questions that you have to ask yourself as well. How many of us are actually asking ourselves questions?
That's true.
No, we're not.
Very
But
few.
very few, very few. And what is the quality of that question? So observe, ask yourselves good questions. And third thing will be celebrate. I feel like all of us act as if we need to win the lottery or, achieve all our dreams to celebrate. It's not that. It's really not. Because if you keep postponing your celebration, your goals and your desires and your outcomes will also get postponed, is what I've realized. You'll never be happy, you'll never be satisfied, and if you don't celebrate you, no one else will celebrate you either.
That's true. Even
So
I have felt that. The third point, I've actually felt that, and the second point which you mentioned about asking the question, that was actually like a breakthrough moment for me as well, because even recently I've observed this thing through my own programs itself, that a lot of people do ask questions while we have live Q&A sessions, and then I realized the answer is within that question, and the more appropriate questions you ask, the more appropriate answer you will get. So even
exactly.
the statement which you gave, that was really like a validation for me as well. Although I don't wait for any validations, as you mentioned, be, do, and even there is one more concept which I got from my mentors is be, do, and have. Because as you mentioned, like a lot of people focus upon to-do list and do this thing, do that task, and then we will achieve that goal. But the primary is about being that person, then doing that particular to-do list, and then we can achieve that. That's
Exactly.
cool. That's cool. And would you like to recommend any kind of books or podcast or any kind of movies so that people can understand more about wellness and they can go in depth of it? Whether it can be your own book or your own podcast or anything.
So I have a podcast called Alchemy with Nidhi, and I mentioned that I'm a molecular biologist as well. So it's for me, it's been that journey of reconciling science and also spirituality and personal development. Because the thing about science is it's discovering, it's always discovering things, but there's endless. The universe is expanding, so there's always more and more to discover. And there's a lot of inner answers also that come up when you're actually focusing on yourself. So it's important that you look at the science, but then you also look at the spiritual beliefs that are going on inside of you. And my podcast is all about helping people tap into that transformative potential, because my mind is blown with what a human being actually is and what they can do. So that is what I wish to uncover on that podcast. But besides that, I would say, I watched a movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I think that movie is just, a lot of people don't probably understand it also because it's very weird, it's wacky, it's deep, and it's just like, it's nothing also. It's kind of, it has all the spectrum. Like it will reach out to anyone who is depressed will like it, anyone who's like super into wellness will like it, anyone who has no idea and is just wants to have fun will like it. So I think just watch that movie. It's great. It tells you how to let go, and the most important takeaway for me is that nothing matters, but something only matters if you assign meaning to it. So be careful of what you are assigning meaning to. That's it.
That's literally like a breakthrough for me as well. Like, nothing has value till the time you don't value that thing. That's
Exactly.
cool. That was amazing. And as you mentioned about wellness in the form, like we have to connect with all the other aspects of life. So is there any like mind, body, and soul connection which everybody has to follow? Like we need to connect all those three things in order to tap into that perfect thing, like what we call as perfect wellness kind of thing, where if all the three things are at its place, then an individual can achieve that particular you can consider that particular walk of life in most easier way. Or is there any connection, or is there no connection in all of the three?
Oh man, I used to think that there is no connection. I used to, because I was, molecular biologist. I'm like, oh, genes, right? Some people have good genes, so they have a good body and stuff. So it doesn't matter. Like some people have good mindset, some people have good body, and well, soul is kind of vague and abstract, I guess. Soul, maybe same thing, spirit, energy. That was my basic understanding of it. And then I realized that there is such an intricate connection between all three of these things. And the best analogy that I can give for it is that of a car. Because according to me, the mind is the engine. Okay, the body is the vehicle, and the soul is the passenger that is actually sitting in. And if the engine doesn't start, then nothing is
Yeah,
going to happen. So if your mind is not going to spark, if it's not going to think, again, there is no life there,
it will
right?
not work.
You're just sitting there for nothing. If there is no body, then there is nothing connecting the passenger and the engine. There is nothing holding it all together, supporting it together. And that's the job of your body. It's a huge, huge task that your body does. Every day, trillions of cells die and then new ones are formed.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Hmm.
All so that you can wake up and do something cool that day. So that is the power of the body. And the soul, of course, like soul is that, that gut feeling, like when you have to do something, you can't really see it already, but something is telling you that it's just going to happen and you have to do it. That is the drive, that is the motivation. That doesn't come from, oh, I want to achieve this, so I want to do it. It comes from, I really, really believe in this. That belief comes from that soul, from that spirit. So it's when all three of these things are connected that you heard of flow state?
Yes.
It's like you're just in that zone, right?
Yes.
That is what you achieve when your mind, your body, and your soul are in like complete alignment.
That's cool. And do we need to do any kind of physical practices or any kind of like internal practices like meditation, gratitude journal, or anything in order to align all the three things?
Yeah, I think, yeah. So it's like it's that you have to work on all three aspects
Mm-hmm.
basically. So if you exercise, then you might have a good body and stuff. And actually, exercising also builds your resilience and your spirit. So that's always a good thing. But you have to work on your mind separately as well, whether it's meditation and whether it's just mindfulness, day to day, being in the present. A lot of people are not in the present. It's a shuttlecock between the past and the future. So working on your mind, breathing is a super important. I think breathing is the most important technique that connects the mind, the body, and the soul, all three in one shot. Like it's the perfect antidote for all of these three things. So
Oh,
it snaps you into alignment. That is the first thing that you do when you're born, and it's the last thing that you do when you die, right?
yes.
So it's the perfect thing. That's what we're meant to do.
That's good. And this is like one of the thing, like as you mentioned about wellness and all the things, but there are a lot of people, those who are actually facing a lot of negative issues in their life, not because of their own self, but because of their environment. Like in such a way, let's consider there is any XYZ individual, and I know a lot of people, those who are facing these problems, they are working physically, like their mind is very good, their like their body is good, they are feeding their mind with the help of meditation, lot of programs, attending a lot of seminars, webinars, workshops. And the point is, when it comes to their soul, like their environment, the people surrounding to them in a physical sense are actually demotivating that person, or they're mentioning that you're not meant to do this, or you don't deserve to succeed in life, or they're just putting in a lot of baggages to that particular individual. It could be like 20-year-old or 25, 30, or any age of it. So, how do we actually align in that phase? Because mind and body is willing to achieve that best possible outcome for us, and we want to spread that love to others as well. But somewhere in the environment, we lack those things where it is affecting our soul. Physically, we can mention like, let me just ignore that individual. Let me just ignore my. Let's consider the friend is giving any negativity. Let me ignore my friend. But soul is like, soul does not understand whether it is like a good thing or bad. If it is bad, it will get hurt. If it is good, then it will be in a state of joy. So how do we remove that hurt from our life and being into that zone of alignment of mind, body, and soul?
You know, the power of the environment is so super super strong. Sometimes they say that environment is more powerful than your willpower, and I would agree to that to an extent, because until and unless you've actually tapped into the power of your soul, you are constantly driven by your environment itself. Because as I said, our focus is very external. We're always judging things by the events that we see unfolding around us. And and we have these close personal bonds with people also, right? So when someone says something, it's super hard to like detach that taunt or anything from what you know you should be doing. But I would just say, detach the behavior from the person. Okay, so that is a very important thing I learned, because they are coming from their perspective. All
Yeah.
right, you are not standing at the same vantage point as they are. They are standing on a completely different peak altogether, and
Yeah.
whatever their view is, they're telling you that.
Yes. Absolutely.
But you're not the same person, you're not on the same peak, you have a completely different perception. And even though it hurts to receive that kind of negative talk from someone that you trust,
Mm-hmm.
you know that you have a vision, you know that you are doing this for a reason.
Yes.
And when you persist, and when you know, have you seen, if someone stays calm in a conflict, if someone is calm and
Mm-hmm.
someone is shouting at that person, how long can that angry person go on shouting at someone who is
For,
calm?
for very few minutes. I've
Few
observed
minutes.
that.
It's
Yeah.
not possible. Like, that person will feel so stupid about themselves when they're screaming at someone who is not, not bothered, not, just not disturbed at all. And that is the inner peace that you actually cultivate when your mind, your body, and your soul is so strong. When your soul and when you've not worked on your energy, when you have to learn how to protect your energy, basically. Because a lot of us get drained by people, right? We
Yeah.
get drained by other people's opinions, we get drained by other people's actions. We're like, why did they do that? This is hurting, they should know me better, and all of those things. But when you become a stronger individual, when you learn that everyone is making their own mistakes, everyone is saying and doing their own things, that is not a personal reflection of you or what you need to do. That is just their
Their
viewpoint.
point of view.
Yeah, so there is a certain amount of detachment that you need also. When you love someone, doesn't mean that you get attached to all of their views and their emotions and all of that. You still have to remain and protect your own energy, and that is super important, and that's not easy. That's what most people struggle with also.
Yes. Honestly.
But it comes, the first two things would be mind and body, and then the third thing would be your soul. But soul is a little more complicated than the mind and the body, of course. But yeah, the whole point is to protect your energy.
That's true. And for protecting the energy, is there any kind of like universal practice which everybody can follow, or is it more like a personalization thing based on their own personal environment?
So it's both. The principle is always universal, but then
Mm-hmm.
the techniques that you go about doing it is like different. So I think the personal universal principle would be that you have to check your beliefs. You have to start loving yourself. You have
Mm-hmm.
to start giving yourself that validation. When you are full on the inside, then it doesn't matter whether someone is giving you that or no, because you already have what you need. You don't need it from someone else. So even if someone gives you an insult, you're like, no, this is not matching with what I know is right. So it's easy to roll it off your back, you know. So it you have to fill your own cup before you can start looking elsewhere. So it all starts with self-love. Fill your own cup, basically.
Mm-hmm. Any
And there's
practices?
a different ways of doing that, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has different ways of doing that. So yeah,
Yeah.
find your
So,
way.
is there any kind of like is or maybe are there any kind of practices which anybody can follow for going into the zone of self love where they can fill their own cup with positive energy rather than looking forward for any positive or maybe any kind of validation from other people?
Mm. I strongly believe in the mirror principle. So the technique that I personally used is that I looked myself in the mirror and I was determined to find some genuine thing about myself that I really really liked. And I've spoken to a lot of people and they say that I don't like actually looking at myself in the mirror because our brain just goes to all the flaws that we see, right? That's how we programmed our
Mm-hmm.
mind. You have to break that conditioning little bit by little. So just pick something. Oh, my hair. Okay, I'm going to look at my hair. Or I'm going to look at my eyes. Only going to focus on my eyes and genuinely find something that I like. So practice looking at yourself in the mirror a lot more. And then the second thing would be creativity. A lot of people say I'm not creative. I'm not an artist. And I ask them, what is your definition of creativity? Do you just think that painting is creative, or do you just think that writing or script writing or acting is creative? No, it's not. Those are definitely artistic fields that are recognized as such, but every single person is creative. Creative is nothing but doing something out of the ordinary. So everyone, when you have a problem, you're improvising a solution. That is creativity, because you didn't know the solution before.
Solution. Yeah.
You thought and you created something new, right? So everybody is a creator. Express that creativity in as many forms as you can, because that's how that inner child gets happy and filled and that's how when you actually have fun. So
Yeah.
whether it's singing, whether it's dancing, whether it's like drawing, n number of ways, find your way of expressing yourself.
So these are
Create.
the two practices. First is you can consider mirror practice where rather than focusing on the flaws, we should look up at one by one things and then we should complement those things. What are the good things which we have in our life? Because even this is the practice which I learned 2 to 3 years back is that if you are blaming that you don't have good shoes, there are a lot of people, those who don't even have legs. So start being grateful for your legs as well, and then ultimately you will get those shoes. And this is like that was just in the form of quotation which literally was mind blowing for me at that instance of time, and from that instance of time itself, like it literally shifted the way I used to think about myself.
Yes.
And like we should focus on one by one things on our face and then on our body so that we can complement ourselves and we can be in that zone of self love. And second comes try to be creative in the way we love to do rather than just painting or anything. It could
Hmm.
be singing, it could be anything. That's cool. And looking back to your personal life right now, let's shift the gears. As you mentioned, like you have some background into biological aspects and all. So what was that career like? And is there any similarity between your current career, that is as a wellness coach, and into your past career?
When I became a wellness coach, I'm like, why did I study science? Why did I do all that research if I'm
Hmm.
just, going to teach people how to live well? And then I corrected myself. I'm like, I am teaching how to be well because no one taught me how to be well when I was actually a molecular biologist, when I was actually a scientific writer. I was
Hmm.
contributing to science, but I still felt like I had no mind. Like I felt like a zombie. People would look at me and be like, are you okay? They would be worried on my part. I would go at 8 a.m. to the lab and I would come back around like 8 p.m. Like I was just like, I would sleep in the lab also sometimes. Like
Hmm.
it would just be maddening. And I realized that as much as I love science, I'm not meant to be there. I'm not, something in me is not happy being there. So I realized that that's because I'm not focusing on my wellness at all. I'm just doing. I'm just like the horse that has a target and I'm bull or is just charging towards it. But nowhere in this entire picture am I actually looking after myself.
Hmm.
And then I realized that I should. So I can't do this anymore. And then I became a scientific writer. I started working remote because I thought, okay, maybe I'll have a little more time to myself then. And then I realized, okay, no, remote job also sometimes there are no boundaries, you know. They say 9 to 5, but then you're working way more than that. At least when you go to the office, you can come back. And then I realized that, okay, still I'm not really getting time for myself. And that's when I was like completely burnt out. And the thing with burnout is if you don't address it earlier on, it becomes depression. And depression shows up differently for different people as well. Sometimes it takes few years to even understand that you're depressed. And so that was my case when I didn't even know. There was like certain personality changes. I don't know why I was just changing that drastically. And then I realized, okay, basically good things are also happening and I can't celebrate them. If
Hmm.
that is the case, then there is something wrong in my mind. And then at the same time, I started gaining weight as well. So it started showing up in my body as well. And it's a reflection, as I
Yes.
mentioned, it's like a chain reaction. And that's when I realized that no, there is a connection, there is a common thread among all of these instances in my life. And it's the fact that I've never really prioritized my wellness. I don't even have that concept of self care and self preservation. Like some people, if you're new to the wellness space, you'll laugh at like, what is self care? Like, I brush my
Yeah.
teeth, I take care, I'm hygienic. That is
Hmm.
not self care.
Yes.
That is just hygiene, that is just being presentable. Self care goes deeper within. It starts from within and then it comes out. So, and you have to give at least 30 minutes of your time to these things. I realized because I know that we're all busy beings, so we can't spend the whole day taking self care and all that. When will you actually do the things that you
Yes.
need to? So that's when I started practicing techniques and finding techniques that can serve as a good routine. And if you do it, you're set. It's like a little thing that you do for yourself, and your whole day is set. You don't have to worry
Hmm.
about everything. You're setting the tone for your day.
Yes.
So that has been that
And
journey.
yeah, through your own journey, as you mentioned, is there anything like, let's consider you were doing your own job as well, and then you shifted to remote work. So, as an individual, let's consider if somebody can't get out of that particular job or any of that business or entrepreneurship journey, can they practice wellness with that? Like by just implementing, as you mentioned, 15 minutes to 30 minutes a day, just
Yeah.
by setting the tone. Can they just like let's consider a lot of people sleep 7 hours, 8 hours a day, so rather than sleeping those hours, you can just cut down 30 minutes and do self care and then get back to that day.
It's a myth that people think that you definitely need 8 hours of sleep to
True.
be productive and all that. I don't
Hmm.
think so.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to say that you shouldn't sleep because that is
Hmm.
bogus.
Yeah.
You definitely need sleep, but it doesn't have to be those 8 hours. I realized that because I used to wake up at 8 a.m. and then I used
Hmm.
to start working around 8:39. Then I realized that I have no time. What self care? Where will I do anything? No practice,
Hmm.
no time at all. So now also there's a lot of things that I need to do, but then I realized that I need to start creating time for myself, and that means I need to start cutting down a little bit about my sleep. So I started waking up at 4 a.m. and that didn't happen like magically overnight, but I pushed
Yes.
myself a little more. I'm like, okay, it's okay if I don't get 8 hours. 7 hours is fine, 7.5 is fine. So I just wanted to wake up at that moment, and when I woke up at 4 a.m., right, I felt like I had 48 hours in a day. That's how I felt. Because
Hmm.
I never felt tired until it was time to go to bed, which was not
Hmm.
the case before. I used to feel tired by 3 p. After lunch only, I'm like gone. I
Hmm.
don't feel like I don't have any energy anymore.
Hmm.
But when I started putting a little routine for myself, just half an hour, I started carving out for myself. It changed. It changes you as a person. That's what I'm saying. It's not about you changing your jobs, or you don't have to radically change everything in your life. It's the tiny habits that make all the difference. So are you willing to carve out 30 minutes for yourself is the question that everyone here needs to ask themselves.
That's good. Like that's actually uh like the breakthrough moment for a lot of people, that are you ready to do that or not?
It's
Based
your
on like,
commitment. Yeah, it's really because the mind loves excuses. It will come up with the most innovative excuses that you just
yeah.
cannot say no to. But
Mm-hmm.
that's why your soul or that inner spirit comes in. How strong is it to actually have that self discipline? And how strong is your why? If your why
Mm-hmm.
is strong enough, then no excuse can beat it.
That's true. That's honestly, that's like you can consider that's really a breakthrough moment for a lot of people, that they should also focus on their why rather than what they are doing, and like what will they get from that particular thing, whatever they are doing. Why is important, and then all the things will be sorted.
Exactly.
That's cool. And getting back to like some more extent of your personal life, I would like to ask, because as we are into or like you can consider finance thing, what is the definition of money according to you?
So before money used to be like a currency, just currency, like something
Mm-hmm.
of value that you trade or something like that. And now, since I've gone through my personal development journey, it's evolved to a lot more. I feel like it's energy. Okay, and I know it's a little vague to understand of how is money related to energy, but it's give and take. What you
Mm-hmm.
put is what you get out.
Yes.
So, and how you see things is how those things manifest in your life as well. So if you see something, if you see money as valuable, or if you see like you are deserving of a lot of money, then it will come and flow to you. If you have a very dysfunctional relationship with money, because a lot of people do, they have a lot of limiting beliefs, like rich people are greedy, or like, oh, money spoils people or something like that. So what you are essentially doing is that you're distancing yourself from that money and creating like a barrier between you. So when you put a barrier in, then obviously your every action that you take is going to be a little like, I don't want money. You're not vocalizing it, but your actions will be in such a
Mm-hmm.
way that you're running away from money. So that's what I've realized. Money is just energy. It's there to help us, and it's not the money that spoils anything. Money can make break a person. It all depends upon the person itself. So if you are an amazing person, then yes, welcome money.
Mm.
Welcome all the money that
True.
you can, because you will do good with it.
That's true. And as you mentioned about wellness, as you mentioned about your own well-being and all the things, what makes you fulfilled in life as a wellness coach, as an individual? Let's just keep wellness coach like that designation aside for that question. Like what makes you as an individual being fulfilled in life, and
I
with what thought you wake up in the morning?
What makes me wake up in the morning? I call myself an eternal learner.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that, that is the reason why I know that I'll be fine no matter what. And that is the reason for me to wake up also, because I wake up thinking, okay, what am I going to do today? What am I going to learn today? Who am I going to talk to? Every interaction, every book that I read, or every action that I take itself, that's the power, right? When you start
Yes.
observing things, when you start asking yourself questions, you learn. Every single thing is an opportunity to learn. And when you learn, you grow. And so every day, if I know that I'm nurturing myself, I'm nurturing, my plants. I love plants also. I love gardening. I love my pet. So many things to enjoy. So many things to learn from. I mean, it's amazing, and I'm
Mm.
continuously committed to that. And more things find my way, like, and people resonate with that. People resonate with this. They look at my energy and they're like, amazing.
Yeah.
I want that as well. So that's
Mm-hmm.
where that energy comes from.
That's cool. And like now let's shift gears from like your personal life or towards some professional thing. As you're a wellness coach right now, what are the things which you are expecting to change in next 5 to 10 years down the line? Because as you mentioned, like even for, let's consider, as you mentioned about the word depression, like people don't realize that they are actually in the zone of burnout, and they are about to like they are at the verge of getting into the zone of depression. So, what are the changes which you are expecting in 5 to 10 years down the line? Because even right now, I observed few months back is right now people are realizing the value of not getting burnt out, and they are actually safeguarding them so that they can be more productive even at their young age. So, what are the things which you are expecting in 5 to 10 years down the line in your industry?
I'm expecting people to have a lot more knowledge about the power of personal development, because I think it's already changing, because we've
Mm-hmm.
realized that the education system is not really meeting the bill when it comes to actually imparting life skills. It's
Mm-hmm.
teaching, it's giving out information, sure, but it's not really strengthening individuals, and it's just putting everyone in a bucket, and whatever you learn and you come out. So there's a lot we need to do in terms of meeting the gaps, right? And also I see a lot of people taking it more seriously, taking depression more seriously, taking mental health more seriously. I feel what happens is that there's a problem in society, and then it's either ignored or it becomes like a joke.
Yes.
It's like now I sometimes see depression being glamorized also in
Mm-hmm.
certain circles and stuff, like, oh, it's cool to be depressed, and I'm like, that is completely, you're completely destroying what the essence of campaigning for mental health and wellness is all about.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also it's about people learning that they really need to just start tapping into themselves, stop with the external validation, stop with the obsession. I encourage people to have passion, not obsession. So that is a huge mindset shift that people really need to get on board with. And also the taboo with mindset, when you say mindset, people feel like, oh, my mind is completely fine, who are you to come and change it and all of that.
Yes.
I think people need to understand that mindset is not that your mind is wrong, it's just that the mind is an unexplored continent. There's so much that it is capable of that we don't know what it is capable of, so you might as well learn from someone who has an idea of how to actually use it to the best of your
Mm-hmm.
capabilities. So these are the changes that I want to see in the audience as such, who is getting into the wellness industry. And I think I want to see more responsibility on part of wellness coaches as well, because I see a lot of people talk about health, and as you said, it's like, oh, health and fitness, and then
Yes.
they push some kind of supplement, or they push some kind of fancy terms around like AI and precision medicine using AI and all of that. Sure, AI is cool, technology is awesome, but that's not the point over here. It's not that you can just make a quick buck out of something. It's about truly helping people take a moment and understand the importance of their health, because that's what the health is wealth, right? If
Yes.
you are not, don't wait until you are ill to know, to feel like, oh, I should have done something. Don't have those regrets. Start from the very beginning itself. So yeah, that's what I see wellness industry going towards.
That's true. And even as you mentioned about the term that people should realize the value of how we use our brains. So I think at this point of time, asking the questions, even this is the point which you mentioned, and I have taken from your point itself, like we should ask proper questions to ourselves so that we can get that creative answers. Because even I have learned this concept where we have two parts of a brain, where one is like creative part and one is like logical, like in that way. And if we ask more questions, then we are activating both the sides of brain, where we can actually outperform the people from not just our age, but from our, let's consider, from our own category itself. Like let's consider if we are into any of the industries, if we are tapping into any new thing, it will be like the outperforming thing in us, which can actually lead us to the best of the best. So that was also a great one. And like two questions with which I would like to end this podcast. Like first question is, what would you like to prioritize as you are into wellness thing? As you mentioned, like we have to maintain peace with all the things. We have to feel contented. So how would you like to prioritize money, health, and relationship into your life? You can rank it with one, two, or three, and as per your, like as per your expertise, as per your point of view.
So I would encourage everyone to just like journal a little bit, write down these four pillars,
Mm-hmm.
and write down how much of your thoughts is going to each of these pillars.
Mm-hmm.
How much are you thinking about each of these pillars? Because that will show you exactly what you are doing wrong. If
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you spend very little time going out and interacting with people, then you can't really complain about not having a good relationship.
So,
And so you need that little reality check that no one else can really give you except yourself. Because if
mm-hmm.
someone else comes and tells you that, you'll be like, who are you to tell me this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's
I
true.
know myself. So you need to have that little introspection. You need to have that time to yourself and look at the 4 pillars, look at what you're missing, look at what your priority is. There's also priorities. For some people, relationships may not be such a priority because they already feel fulfilled with whatever they have. So you cannot go and tell them, go get a new relationship or something like that. So prioritize. Just prioritize on what you want, not what others want you to do. So what are the things that others are wanting you to do, and what are the things that you actually want to do? So that clarity is important, and that only happens when you actually put the pen to the paper and scribble it out. Because the mind has 60,000 thoughts in a day.
Yes.
It's so hard to differentiate what is coming from you, what is coming from someone else. Very hard. When you actually write down is when your brain is, letting all the clutter settle, and you can actually get some value out of it. So prioritize the pillars and go out of your comfort zone. That is one of the
And
key.
what are the priorities according to you in money, health, and relationship?
So my own priorities, they keep changing. So for me, I think I would say my health is the main priority right now. Health, wealth, and relationships. And what is the other?
Three of these: health, wealth,
Yeah,
and
these are the
relationship.
3 mains. Yeah. So I think these are the three.
So how would you like to rank?
I would say health. Yeah, health is first. Then maybe relationships is second, and wealth is third. But this is again, it's your own
That keeps
personality.
changing.
But
That is why I mentioned, like, at a personal level.
This is the ranking, but that doesn't mean that I'm not prioritizing. I'm prioritizing my wealth more now, actually. So that is something that I didn't do in the past, and that is something I'm doing now. Even though it's on rank 3, that is actually taking a lot of my attention now, and I love it. I actually love it.
Yeah.
So
Wealth is literally like interesting part to learn and to actually implement it.
yes.
That's true. And any last tip or advice which you would like to give to the youngsters, those who are in their age of 20s, and to the people those who are in their mid age, like almost around 30, 35?
I would say that you matter. It's just we've been told that you have to do this, you have to do that, and then once it's always that bait of once you finish your board exams, you're done. Once you get a job, you're done. You get this, you're done. You're never done. Let me tell you that it doesn't matter whether you're 20, 25, 30, 35, 50, 65, you're never done. Because you're still alive. You're as long as you're alive, you will have challenges, you will have celebrations. So don't focus on being done with something. Focus on getting the max value of doing something, like fully experiencing something. So don't that's the difference between obsession and passion as well. Obsession is solely focused on the outcome. Like I will only be happy when that outcome comes. Passion is that I'm enjoying every single
Through
moment.
the journey rather than just destination. It's about journey.
Every single moment. I don't care. I'm doing this because I like it. So prioritize yourself, knowing that you matter. Stop chasing and just start creating. I think that is the end word. You are a creator. Start creating.
That's cool. That's amazing. And with that, thank you so much, Nidhi, for being on our podcast show. And for the audience, below this particular video in the description, I'm going to mention all the social handles of Nidhi. So make sure you text her on Instagram. You can just mention her. You can take snapshots of this podcast, and do share all your takeaways which you had on the stories and to her personal chat as well, on the personal messages on Instagram, so that she can feel that whatever time she has invested in this podcast, she can feel that yes, that was worth that time, efforts, and energy. Most importantly, her own experience and journey from being into the life of job, and then right now being as a wellness coach. And wishing you all, you can consider all the luck and best wishes for your own initiatives. And looking forward to see you in upcoming new initiatives. And thank you so much once again for being on our podcast show.
Thank you so very much. Amazing questions. And that's what I said, right? Questions are answers. So even while, answering all your questions, I learned more about myself and you as well. So lovely experience. Thank you so much for having me.
Once again, thank you so much for watching this particular podcast till the end. And I hope that it was worth your time and energy which you put in while listening to our podcast. And in future, we are going to bring on so many guests based on how we can achieve holistic success rather than just about money, or rather than just about health or relationship as well. how we can focus on every other aspect of life as well, and more of wellness rather than just about money part or any other thing as well. And I hope that you had got immense value and clarity from this particular podcast episode as well. And below this particular video, I have given all the social handles of Nidhi Kona. Make sure you follow her on Instagram. Make sure you follow her on all the social handles and check out all her programs as well. And please, this is like a request from my side that you can take snapshots from this particular podcast and you can text her on Instagram that what are the takeaways which you had, what are the breakthrough moments which you had from this particular podcast, so that feel that whatever time she invested, and more important, the journey which she shared in this particular podcast, show the knowledge, the wisdom which she had so far, that was worth sharing in this particular podcast. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this particular video, and share this particular podcast with as many people as possible. And I'll see you in the next one. Till then, live fully, love openly, and make the difference today. I wish you joy and abundance in all you do.